Hi, it's the 19th of March at almost 5 p.m. I didn't do a video yesterday. This Christchurch shooting came up, and I smelt narc. It comes from living with my wife for 30 years. You just sense it. You just know it. You don't consciously realise it at first, but you just know. Narc warning, narc, something's going on. The shooting is one thing, but the very next day, a politician made some sort of comment that, well, it's because of immigration policy. And of course that just erupted into everything, full on fight, let's go for it. Another politician, our Prime Minister, I think it was, said something, and then this politician said, so really it's a politician, and then the press got involved, of course, and all sorts of, and I watched it, and what I do is I just think, what would have happened if this had happened in 1970? If one of our people had gone to another country, and regardless of what nationality or anything else like that, and just shot 50 people, what would we have thought? What, as a nation, would have Australians been like? I'd say we would have been shell-shocked. It would have really, really clobbered us. It would have... I could be wrong, but I don't think we would have been nonchalant. Oh, well, yeah, happens, doesn't it, every day? I just don't think we would have been like that. And had it happened, I think even back then our leaders, politicians and whatever, would have been stunned. They wouldn't have been finger pointing and saying, well, it's the reason is your fault, it's because of this. And try and bear in mind, it wasn't even in our country, it was in somebody else's country. It really had nothing to do. Their immigration policy is their immigration policy. It'd be like going to New Zealand, killing a whole bunch of New Zealanders and saying, it's just wrong that New Zealanders are here. It's none of our business at all. And so, a lot of things, but there's just something about narcs. When they want to hide something or, put you off the scent, they'll throw just like that, and it's fast. And before you know it, you're caught up in it. Particularly if you're living with them or whatever, and you just don't know what's happening because they're manoeuvring things that you're not even aware of, and you're just caught up in this situation. That happened to me for 30 years, but I've learned. So now I don't react straight away. I don't say anything much straight away. I wait until a day or two later when my thought processes, the gears start turning over. And the big question that came to me was, this guy's 28 years old, right? I think he's been travelling for the last 4 years. So for 24 of his 28 years, he's lived in a town that don't have any Muslims. There are none here. I saw 3, I think it was in 1997, they had, all the stuff on. 3. They were walking through the mall. That's it. I haven't seen one since. I've been here for years. So that led me to ask the question, so where did he get all this hatred for Muslims? I mean, he clearly went to another country, targeted a mosque and shot dead Muslims, 50 of them. So I asked myself, where did this come from? So I came back home today. I thought all of this while I was riding over town. And I came back home and I thought, okay, let's just check it up. So I had a look at today's news. Yep, now our Prime Minister I think he's going to point the finger at the internet's the problem. This is where this guy got all the, and I think he wants to see it regulated. He's going to put it to the G20 that they put greater regulation on the internet. Look, I don't know. I mean, if anybody's aware of any sites that are promoting hatred of Muslims, let me know. Just, you know, say so in the comments. Because I could be wrong, but I haven't seen any. If anything, I see a lot of sites critical of Israel. I see a lot of that. I have no denial about that. Yep. Yeah, they're very critical of Israel. Quite a lot of them. But I don't see any criticism of Muslims or of Islam. I don't know. Look, I could be wrong. I might just go to the wrong sites, but I just haven't seen it. Yet our Prime Minister is saying that the internet has to be regulated. So, look, as I said, could be totally wrong. Let me know, you know, and then I'll go, yeah, fair enough, you could have a point. But I go a step further and say, I don't mind Muslims. I've spoken to quite a few in my life. I find them very pleasant people. My neighbours don't like them. No, we don't like those people. Generally in this town, and a lot of provincial and country, rural Australia, generally we don't like Muslims. Why? I don't know. And they're not on the internet. You can't tell me that. Well, probably Facebook. Facebook seems to be where they go, but I mean, that's, you know, that's Facebook. But it's sort of being swayed this way and that way. The whole thing is just, it sort of links in a little bit with mgtow, because it's sort of, yeah, that's what happens. Women will just, you know, they're quick. And before you know it, something's happened, because they've got the agenda going in the background. You're just, you know, muggins that walked into it. That happened to me so many times. But, you know, now I can smell it. I'm aware of it. I've had a few guys say, oh no, it was the guy had been trained and what have you, and someone was behind this. Yeah, I've got no doubt someone's behind it, but I don't think it's that way. And the thing that makes me suspicious of the whole thing is, if there are no Muslims here, very few Asians, but if you were to go to Sydney, yeah, you could, a lot of Asians in Sydney. If you're going to shoot anybody, why wouldn't you go to Sydney and shoot some Asians? I mean, if you really felt like you're being invaded, so I'm not saying there's anything against Asians, but if you're going to kill somebody, why would you go to another country and kill Muslims in another country? I mean, you're as much an invader there as they are. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it all seems cockeyed. But I mean, I think the guy apparently they can't figure out what's actually wrong, because he seems normal. He seems, but I'd say he's no different from most of the locals. Yeah, they're all that way. But the point I was just about to make was, I've had guys say, I don't know, he had special training and, you know, this, that and something else. And it reminded me of a story I read about it was a small flight of, they were US aircraft in Second World War. They were up in Papua New Guinea or something, and and they had to bomb something. I can't remember all the details of it, but and they couldn't. The only way they could get to bomb it was by dive bombing it. But the problem is, none of them had been trained to dive bomb. Nobody had any idea how to actually dive bomb something. But this was the only way they were going to get the target. So they were all sitting around talking about it, and one of the guys said, I remember saying, remember that movie that we saw back in 1935 or something about such and such, about dive bombing? And a couple of the others said, oh yeah, I remember that one, yeah. This is like 2 or 3 or 4 years beforehand. I said, well, and one thing led to another, and they started thinking about this movie they'd seen 3 or 4 years ago. And even down to angles. This is a true story, okay? Even down to the angles they took, they should come in, because you have to be trained, don't you? I just sat there and thought, oh no, it would have been about, this angle here, but yeah, and they were, it seemed a bit, the sun was up there, but this is just... So anyway, they did the raid and took the target out, bang, wiped it out, and they just shook their head afterwards. We couldn't believe it. It was just, we trained ourselves from a half-remembered movie. Yeah, if anybody was to look at it, on the side, it's like, oh, they're dive bombers. They've been highly trained. And that sort of, no, just a bunch of guys sitting around thinking about, just trying to remember a movie of all things that they'd seen. And then from that, they figured out how to do it. Now, this guy plays shoot-up games every night, And then when he got to New Zealand, he bought some weapons and went to a rifle range and learned how to use them. So then I imagine he came home, in the secrecy of his, the privacy of his where he was living. He practiced how to shoot it, and he would have, live streamed it or had a GoPro or whatever. Yep, looks about right. I mean, he had plenty of, in a sense, he was being trained by professional shooters. The games are pretty sophisticated, very sophisticated. And I imagine they would get professionals in to show them what actually happens, so it's as realistic as possible. So yeah, the game is actually training him. He would have had a lot of training, plus then just actually hands-on, loading, unloading, all that sort of thing. So it hardly surprises me that he looked professional. And if he was dedicated. I watched a guy once teach himself martial arts in much the same way, just by watching videos. He actually was attending a class. He was clearly the best there, but he didn't go for the belts. But he was really good, looked great. But what he was doing was watching a movie and copying it. Yeah, so I mean, and he was a white belt. Never took a belt, but he looked better than most of the the guys that were going for black belts. But that was, as I said, all from just watching movies of it. So yeah, it's possible to train yourself. That he would have just been dedicated to it for a while, and but the whole thing is the takeaway from this video is, don't get caught up in it. Just let it go over for a day or so until you've got time to sort of ask questions that, like, why is this guy so filled with hatred of Muslims? And how have we gotten to this point? Australians used to be, pretty caring, sort of like, it's just, you just didn't do that sort of thing. Now, who cares? I found myself all day yesterday thinking, have we gone from here to there? From there to here? Why are we so filled with hatred? Why aren't we with our women? You start thinking about it. You start. I'm like, what we're doing here is living apart from our women, from women in general. I mean, if you sit back and ask yourself, there's all sorts of reasons, but when you sit back and look at it another way, think, why? Why is it like this? Why are women doing what they're doing to us? Who's behind all of this? Why did this guy go and just murder 50 Muslims? And he can't say that. I say to a lot of Australians here, what have they done to you? Yeah, but what have they done? You don't even know any. It's not like we've been in a war with them. They haven't done anything. There's none here. And you know that they're brainwashed. Somebody is inside their head making them hate Muslims. Now they're going to try and blame the internet. And that's just, so someone is doing all this, someone is behind it all, and someone's got a lot to hide, and nobody's actually asking the questions. Yeah, but why did he do it? What did they ever do to him? The whole thing is, I know, it doesn't, half the town, probably more, would do the same thing if they could. Why? Because they're brainwashed. But none of them know anybody. I talk to friends, but what have they done? Oh yeah, but 3,000 years ago, for God's sake. It's just, It's like what women say about us. Oh yeah, but they're bad people. Oh yeah, they're terrible. Yeah, it's all this narc stuff shit. Honestly, that's what it is. It's narcissism. Whether it's coming from this particular group of narcs or that particular group of narcs, that's narcissism. Telling you. It's just, I mean, the guy is just, he is so full of himself that he's now going to defend himself. Doesn't need a lawyer. He probably expects to get let off. That they'll see the error of their way out of it. Let him walk free. Go and kill some more. I mean, that's how removed from reality he is. It's poison. Narcissism. It's just this ultimate belief that he is right. And once you've got this idea that you're right and everybody else or the other party's wrong, yeah, you know you're infected with narcissism. It's you know, it'd be really, if you start asking questions, it's just simple ones like, so why does he hate Muslims if he doesn't? For 24 out of his 28 years, he had nothing to do with them. And I mean, you can't say that if he goes, because there really are none in this town. It's a white town. Oh, Aboriginals and Europeans, okay, but there are no Muslims. It's not really a multicultural town. But then if you go overseas, as well as, you know, apparently he saw overseas how it's invading other countries. What the hell's it got to do with him? He lives in a town where there are no Muslims. Where did he get all this thinking from? Where did it come from? Really, you know, didn't come from me. You know, and it's just, and then why did the politicians suddenly say that? He would have known better. You know, why suddenly, out of the blue, does he make such a statement, an inflammatory statement, the very next day? Yeah, you could probably argue he's trying to draw attention to himself, but maybe there was someone behind him as well, trying to, you know, detract from the feeling that this guy from Grafton, from this little white town in Australia, goes all the way to New Zealand and murders a whole bunch of homogenous people, Muslims. You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Something is going on. You know, yeah, it could be conspiracy. Someone could have, you know, put him up to it or something. But then again, it just could be he was filled with hate and just saw the opportunity there. Who knows? But apparently, they're here, you know, interviewing his sisters and mother and that sort of thing, trying to find out, get a profile of the guy. But it's what's coming out is, yeah, he's pretty normal, which is actually quite frightening. Yeah, they're really finding that he's, you know, yeah, he said some stuff at the rifle range, and apparently a guy that was there went to the police, and the police said, just old duffers, don't worry about them too much. Different story if a woman goes there and tells them that, you know, he's really violent, oh my God, we'll send 6 officers around to, you know, hassle you. But no, when someone's actually saying, I'm going to kill people and that sort of thing, yeah, no, don't worry about that. It's unimportant, old duffer. Yeah, so, I mean, it all strikes me as just wrong. You know, it's really, you know, I was thinking, I was speaking to Captain Bob the other day, and he was just shocked at how cold-hearted people were. You know, when you know, his life fell in the toilet, you know, how cold-hearted and cruel people were. Yeah, I agree with that. And I just don't care. And the reason is it's narcissism. It's just all narcissism. That's what it is. There's no compassion, no feeling, nothing. It's just, oh well, get over it. You know, they'll say something. It's all about saying something. Oh, you can't say that. Oh my God, politicising it. And the first ones to point the finger at, oh my God, he said that after a massacre. They're the same ones that are doing the same thing. They're playing the same game. But that would never have happened before narcissism, a wave of narcissism came. And it just would not have happened back in 1970 at all. Anyway, that's enough for me. But if anybody's aware of any sites or anything that, you know, where they're promoting hatred of Muslims, yeah, let me know. I'll go and have a look at it. But I get around the internet a fair bit. I don't see any of it anywhere. But maybe there's a whole area of the internet that I'm not aware of yet. Okay. Been good talking to you, and I'll talk to you shortly. Bye.